Good morning. Not morning there. It's not here either, but it is somewhere. So this is Brian. Welcome to my channel again. Forgive me if I stumble and screw up again. I am not a YouTube professional. Maybe someday. No time soon. If you do appreciate having a Second Amendment and the ability to protect yourselves, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much for that. Now, one of the biggest arguments for anti-gunners, and particularly those who are against things like concealed carry, constitutional carry, is that you're going to have a lot of new firearm owners out there carrying around. It's going to turn into the Wild West and nobody knows what the hell they're doing. And truth be told, for those of us who are supporters of the Second Amendment, who do believe in our God-given rights to defend ourselves and our families and our neighborhoods, that's one of our concerns too. And unfortunately, we all know that this is happening. With all of these new firearms being out there on the streets, a lot of first-time gun owners out there, they're not getting the training that they need to be. Don't be one of them. That leads to a lot of bad things. So believe me, as much as the media doesn't want to report on responsible firearm owners who knew what they were doing, were well trained, and handled the situation properly, they are all over someone without training who makes a mistake accidentally. They get themselves killed, they get an innocent bystander killed. They are all over it, and it gives the machine more fuel to fight us and to fight your rights to carry a firearm and to protect yourself and protect your family. So the name of the game, folks, is training, training, training. From the second you buy a firearm, before you ever put it on the range, go home, read the manual, follow the manual, practice taking it apart, practice putting it back together, learn how that firearm works, practice loading your magazines, practice unloading your magazines. There are tons of training exercises to run through, and that's really what I'm going to go through a little bit today. Nothing specific as far as we're not going to get into a lot of different situational scenarios, just some general training things that everybody should be doing. For example, again, take the gun apart. How many gun owners, new gun owners I've met that have no idea how to remove the slide from their pistol. For the purposes of our training today, I will be using my Shadow Systems MR920L. You will note no magazine in the magwell, and my chamber is completely clear. This is my EDC. This is my everyday carry. If you see me, whether you see it or not, it's there somewhere. So if you're going to carry a firearm, you need to know how to use it. Start with simple things. Dry fire training. All right, take your weapon, pull it, make sure that it's empty and still pointed in a safe direction. Find a blank spot on the wall, practice putting your sights on that target, and start working on things like proper grip, proper trigger squeeze, resetting your trigger. Feel where that trigger resets. Know how much pressure you need to put on the trigger to fire the weapon again. Practice it over and over. I spend hours sitting in front of my TV. I'll point at characters on the show. I'll point at the 6 on my clock. I'll switch up to the 12 on my clock. Switch back down to the 6. Practice with my iron sights. Folks, red dots are great. This one happens to be a green dot. But know how to use your iron sights. And how do you know how to use your iron sights? you train with them. You train, you train, you train, both dry fire and at the range. Later on, if you want to get an optic, get an optic. And then train with the optic. Again, dry fire training. Pull your weapon, practice bringing it up, finding the dot. Bring it up, find the dot. Bring it up, find the dot. I talked to a shooter recently at the range who said she tried an optic, she doesn't like them. It's too hard to find it, too slow. By the time she finds the dot on her optic in a situation, she could have easily started sending a half magazine downrange using her iron sights. My argument for that is, how much did you train with your dot? That's why you can't find it. If you train with your iron sights, you'll be able to instantly, as soon as you come up, you'll find your front sight. You drop your rear, you pop your rear sights right on there. You practice with your dot. First, you'll find your iron sights, then you'll find your dot. As you keep practicing, you'll pull up, you'll instantly go straight to your dot. Now, I'll admit, dots are something that I'm really not used to myself, so I'm still training with them every single day. Iron sights, I know really well, been training with them for years. Me, I prefer to carry open if you haven't trained, if you're not properly trained, if you're not fully comfortable with your firearm and know how to use it. Please do not carry open. Carry concealed. If you're going to carry it all, carry with a round in the chamber. If you're not comfortable walking around with a round in the chamber, do not carry a firearm. Again, I prefer to carry open, but 5 days a week, I'm in a suit. I can't carry open, so I carry concealed. Most guys who carry concealed like to appendix carry. Again, I'm in a suit. Appendix carry, my gun's going to show. Defeats the purpose of carrying concealed. But if you are going to carry concealed and you're wearing a t-shirt, you're wearing a jacket, you're wearing whatever it is that you're wearing, as soon as you get dressed and put that gun on in the morning, you need to practice drawing your weapon from that holster. Make sure what kind of obstacles you're going to run into. Is the shirt you're wearing that day have a longer tail than the shirts that you're used to wearing? Are you going to have to pull it up further? Are you going to have to worry about your sights being hooked on your shirt? What are the obstacles you're going to run into if you need that firearm? Me, I'm in a suit. I need to know, is my gun going to snag on my jacket? And of course, practice putting your gun back in the holster. And with that said, even though I laugh, it's very serious. More people accidentally discharge their weapon reholstering than they actually do drawing their firearm. Why? Because they're not concerned. They don't take the proper care. They don't slow down. They're trying to jam their guns into their holster, and they'll either slip their finger into the trigger guard, finger hits the holster, finger pulls the trigger. They get an article of clothing snagged up in their trigger. They force it into the holster forces that up against the trigger, and they shoot themselves. Not a good day. Train with your firearm, train with your holster, train with the clothing that you're wearing that day. So every day when I get up and I get dressed, I run drills. And yes, I'm still getting used to this firearm, this holster. My last one I trained, great. I got this one, I put a light on it, now I've still got practice to do. But as long as I'm taking it slowly, I'm making sure that my trigger is clear as I'm going into the holster, I'm good to go. And again, it's not a race to get into the holster, but it could be to get out. So make sure that you're able to get out of your holster and on target. Proper grip. Remember trigger discipline. Finger does not hit that trigger until the second you're ready to shoot. Finally, and if I was a pro and had an editor, me fumbling with my holster would be edited out. But finally, you're ready to go to the range before you start carrying. Go to the range. Practice with that weapon. Practice, practice, practice. Try different drills. Whatever kind of drills your particular range will allow. Not all of them will allow holster drills. Fine. See if they'll let you pick it up from the table and fire that way. Personally, when I go to the range, I run 2 5-round magazines. 5 rounds is plenty to tell you everything you need to know about your grip, your recoil management, and your trigger control. You get to practice doing magazine changes and then getting right back on target. 5 rounds, that's all it takes. Plus, bullets are friggin' expensive. I can't afford to shoot entire mags. This thing holds 15 plus 1. That's a lot of bullets. That's a lot of money. Keep going, sorry. So I get to run 3 separate drills for every 2 magazines that I would be running full. Train, train, train. And when you think you've trained enough, you haven't trained enough. And if you don't think you've trained enough, guess what? You haven't trained enough. Don't be the guy on the 6 o'clock news who either got shot with his own gun, accidentally shot one of his kids, because you weren't prepared, because you didn't train. Folks, if you love your constitutional rights, if you want to keep your constitutional rights, then you do what you have to do to keep your constitutional rights. That includes train with your weapon. Please like and subscribe. Be safe. I'll talk to you next time.